The city of Ravenbrook never truly sleeps, even at 3 in the morning when thick fog rolls in from the old river, swallowing the narrow, damp cobblestone streets. Something remains awake. It might be the dim, weary neon lights of cheap bars refusing to close, flickering like electronic ghosts in the void. It might be the hurried footsteps of a sinner trying to vanish into the shadows, or more simply, it is the memories that refuse to rest, always waiting to choke those who remain awake. Lena Hart knew that feeling better than anyone. She sat alone in the 911 dispatch room, a cramped, suffocating square of pale fluorescent light and the stale scent of cold coffee that had seeped into her skin. On the wall before her, a row of monitors displayed the city map, dotted with red lights blinking rhythmically like the erratic pulse of a dying creature. Each red dot was a tragedy, a cry for help, or sometimes just an overwhelming loneliness that needed to be heard. 3 years ago, Lena didn't sit here. She had been a promising detective, sharp, relentless, and never one to back down. But then case number 0719 changed everything. A missing girl, a suspect hastily arrested under public pressure, and a questionable confession signed before a body was ever found. Under her superior's orders, Lena had signed that fateful report. When the truth began to crack, she became the scapegoat. She wasn't fired, but the cold shoulders of her colleagues pushed her into this dark corner. Now she listened to the pain of others instead of preventing it. She had become the woman carrying a ghost case. At exactly 3:15 a.m., the phone rang, piercing through the thick atmosphere of exhaustion. Lena pressed the connect button by instinct. 911, what is your emergency? Her voice was husky but maintained a professional edge. A silence stretched so long that Lena could hear the faint static crackling on the line. Then a man's whisper emerged, urgent and panicked. I need help. Please, can anyone hear me? Lena sat up straight, her police intuition flaring to life. Where are you? Tell me your location. I don't know. It's too dark. I only see shadows. And the smell. It smells like rusty metal. It's horrible. The man gasped. Are you injured? Is there anyone else there with you? Lena typed furiously, trying to trace the signal. The map showed a vague area to the west, an old industrial district abandoned for decades, a place of rusted steel frames and rumors of criminal gangs. I don't know if I'm hurt, but someone is here. I can't see them, but I can hear breathing right against my ear. The man's voice trembled violently. Lena tried to keep her voice as calm as possible to steady the victim. Daniel, listen to me. I'm going to call you Daniel. You must try to find an exit or at least something to identify your location. Are there any windows? No windows. Just a rotting wooden table, a chair, and a mirror. But this mirror is strange, Lena. It doesn't reflect me. It only reflects the empty room behind me. The name Lena coming from the stranger's mouth made her freeze. How did he know her name? And the detail about the mirror, it sounded more like a nightmare than a real kidnapping. How do you know my name? Lena asked, her voice beginning to falter. On the wall, they wrote your name and a string of numbers, 0719. They wrote it in black paint, huge, taking up the whole wall. That number exploded in Lena's mind like a bomb. 0719. It wasn't an address. It was the file code of the case she had tried to bury for 3 years. The case of the missing girl she had indirectly destroyed through her own lack of resolve. "Daniel, how old are you?" Lena asked, her breathing becoming rapid. "9. I'm 9 years old." The voice on the other end suddenly changed, becoming chillingly young and innocent. Lena's heart hammered so hard it felt painful. The girl from the case 3 years ago was also 9 when she vanished. This couldn't be a coincidence. She realized she was no longer handling a standard emergency call. This was a setup or a reckoning. "You're not Daniel," Lena hissed through her gritted teeth. "The real Daniel went missing 3 years ago. Who are you? What do you want from me?" A low, cold chuckle echoed through the earpiece. The man's voice returned, but this time it was deeper, calmer, and carried an unmistakable threat. "Finally, you remember. You signed that report, Lena. You said the evidence was enough to convict an innocent man, all so Blake could get his promotion. Did you think you could hide in this dispatch room forever?" "Who are you?" Lena shouted into the mic. "I am the survivor. That night in this basement wasn't just Daniel. I was there. I saw everything with my own eyes. I escaped through the cracks of the corruption you all created. But Daniel wasn't so lucky." Lena felt the room drop several degrees. Memories of Inspector Blake, her former boss, flashed vividly. Blake was the one who pressured her to sign the file, the one who insisted the suspect had confessed. She doubted it, but she chose silence to protect her career. "I didn't call to be saved," the stranger continued, his voice echoing like a tolling bell from the afterlife. "Daniel is right in front of me. He's still waiting for you to take him home." "You said Daniel was dead," Lena screamed, tears beginning to fall. "He is dead, but his body never left. It's still here, in the basement of the old factory that you people never bothered to search thoroughly, because Blake said the area was clean, right?" While the call was still active, a video window suddenly popped up on the main console. A grainy gray image appeared, a damp concrete room. In the center lay a small body covered by a yellowed white cloth. Behind it, on a cracked wall, the number 0719 was clearly visible under a phone's flashlight. "Do you see, Lena? More than 1,000 people are watching this live stream with you," the stranger said. "Your Inspector Blake isn't just a bad cop. He's the head of a kidnapping ring. Daniel wasn't a random victim. He was a faulty product that needed to be disposed of." Lena was shell-shocked. Everything collapsed before her eyes. Her last shred of respect for the force, her last excuse for herself, all gone. "They're coming," the stranger said, his voice mixing with the sound of distant police sirens in the video. "This is your last chance. Stay silent to keep your hollow dignity, or speak up to give this child justice. Lena looked at the screen, at the poor, small form under the white cloth. She knew if she spoke, her career and her life would be over. She would go to prison for complicity and falsifying records. But if she stayed silent, she would be imprisoned in this room forever, haunted by Daniel's breathing every night. She took a deep breath, her trembling finger pressing the citywide internal broadcast button. "This is Lena Hart, badge number 8842. I have an emergency statement regarding case 0719. Inspector Blake is the mastermind. I have evidence of his involvement in human trafficking and the fabrication of evidence. I am prepared to take full legal responsibility." The moment those words left her lips, Lena felt a 1,000-pound weight lift from her shoulders. On the video screen, she saw police storm the basement. A sharp gunshot rang out. The image shook, then went black. Hours later, all of Ravenbrook was in shock. Inspector Blake was arrested at his home while attempting to destroy documents. Daniel's body was recovered from the dark basement after 3 years of being forgotten. Lena sat alone in the dispatch room. Around her, officers were busy taking statements, but she felt a strange tranquility. Her phone rang one last time. Lena pressed the button. 911, I'm listening. "Thank you," the stranger's voice whispered, but this time it was as soft as a breath of warm air in the winter night. "Who are you, really?" Lena asked softly. "That survivor, who are you?" "I am the part of Daniel that remained in your mind. I am the remorse that finally found its way home. Now Daniel has seen the light, and so have you." The call disconnected. On the radar screen, the last red dot in the Western Industrial Zone vanished. The city of Ravenbrook still didn't sleep, but the fog had begun to lift. For the first time in 3 years, Lena Hart stood up, took off her headset, and walked out of the room. The first light of dawn was breaking at the horizon, pale but enough to light the path she had to take, the path of redemption. Daniel was no longer breathing down her neck. The boy could finally rest in peace.